Welcome back to some new malicious compliance stories, where people complied to the letter, but not the spirit of our request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Perform Too Good. My jobs have always been geared towards data entry, as that's what I'm best at. I've always typed over 120 and love finding new keyboard shortcuts to save me time and just be more efficient overall. Because of the skill, I have always excelled in prior roles that utilized it. That is, until my current career. I have been with this company for almost 3 months now. As with a lot of data entry jobs, this one has weekly productivity that you must meet. By week 2, I was meeting productivity once I grasped the role. This fueled me to try and get even faster. If there's a way to save time, I will find it. We get the team productivity email yesterday, and I see that I tripled what is expected of a single employee in an entire week. My numbers skyrocketed to levels that haven't been reached before, but I did not get any sort of praise. This company has felt anti-praise since I started, or asked how I did it. I get an email from management stating my numbers are concerning, and that they are essentially opening up an investigation to see if I cheated somehow. I even received a screenshot of others' numbers in one specific area, with management stating it's impossible to have that much of a lead over those who have been here for years. My numbers were in the 800s, while the second highest was 300 in the week. Today my boss calls me and says she's been spending the day checking my work, and so far everything has been accurate. Mind you, this investigation didn't start with her. She was just asked to check my work and was reporting what she found, but it's all accurate. She says I can continue with what I'm doing, since she found no problems. I learned quickly that this isn't the type of place to be praised. There is zero incentive for anyone to go above and beyond if it's just going to be questioned. I fully understand that if something seems off, a company is going to want to check and ensure I am understanding the work and entering it properly, especially with a new employee. But to email me stating it's concerning and impossible prior to even checking my work is where I have the issue. I shouldn't have even needed to be told it had to be looked into. They were told my numbers were accurate, and there has been radio silence since. No apology, no praise, no how did you do it, in hopes I can show the rest of my team so we can get caught up one day. So with what little knowledge of Excel I had, I made a spreadsheet that tallies my accounts as I go so I can pace myself. I am now alerted as soon as I meet that goal, so that I can stop working without going over. I did add just a tiny bit more wiggle room to my spreadsheet to not accidentally go under productivity to where they would have reason to use corrective action, but just ever so slightly above the bare minimum. If they are going to treat me like a bare minimum employee, they are going to get bare minimum employee. The next story is called Itemized Receipts. I was at my old job for around 14 years. We transitioned through the times as technology progressed. Started off having to turn in the original receipts with expense reports. Then we could scan them into a PDF and email them in. Towards the end of my time there, they used an app that categorized everything. You could make the receipt a quarter page, so the small receipts, gas, food, etc. wouldn't be blown up to a full page. Hotel and rental car receipts could be selected as full pages, so they could be easily read. This worked really well. That was until Betty, the accountant, complained to our supervisor. She said we needed to show itemized receipts to verify that our department wasn't exceeding the meal expense guidelines. They allowed $55 per day for meals when traveling, $10 breakfast, $20 lunch and $25 dinner. If you had dinner, they would allow up to 2 alcoholic beverages. Some employees would buy more and not submit the itemized receipt to try to get around that. Some would eat breakfast at the hotel for free, then eat a cheap lunch, then pile on the food and drinks at dinner. Accounting hated that. The region I worked in was typically rural areas, with a lot of gas station meals, mom and pop diners, and all-you-can-eat buffets. Some gave handwritten receipts. Some only gave the credit card receipt with the total. After explaining this to Betty, she insisted that I request an itemized receipt, or I wouldn't get reimbursed. I asked. Some restaurants helped me out and scribbled something on a receipt pad, while others said, "Sorry, this is all we have." After I had a week of denied expenses, I decided that next time a restaurant didn't give me an itemized receipt, I would take a picture of my food. I selected full page for each plate photo. I made sure to only eat at places that I knew didn't offer itemized receipts that week. Then sent my expenses in the following week and waited. I got a call from my supervisor laughing, and he said, "I appreciate your effort. I understand your gripe, but please don't send in your expense report with 20+ pictures of what you ate. I've talked with accounting, and they now agree that if an itemized receipt isn't available, a normal receipt is okay. No more food pictures, okay?" As he was laughing, he continued, "Oh, and they are going to reimburse you for that last week that was denied." I proved my point and got them to back off of a ridiculous rule. The third story is called Bag Fees. I work for a company where part of my weekly task is to go shop for a specific snack each week for upwards of 50 people. The snack rotates on a 20-week cycle. Some weeks are difficult to get. Can only get the specific snack at a store like Trader Joe's. Versus most weeks I can drive to the Safeway that's within a half-mile of my work. I've had a lot more on my plate in the last year, and so I switched over to pick-up orders. It's free for orders over $30, and I'm shopping for 50 people worth of snacks. I live in Colorado, which earlier this year passed a law that requires grocery stores to charge a 10-cent fee for plastic or paper bags. These fees are automatically added to my pickup orders, and my company gets charged about 20 cents to $1 each week on just bags. My boss, the regional head, sends me an email today that the people in charge of looking over the credit card charges want me to stop using plastic bags because of the fees, and to buy reusable bags so we stop being charged. She's annoyed too and has my back and is gonna talk with her boss, the national head of our department, over it. I called the local Safeway. Their policy won't let me use the reusable bags on pickup orders, so I can't go there anymore. But the local Kroger will let me use them. But they are over 3 times the distance, which is why I haven't gone there often in the past. So on the company card, I bought the most expensive reusable bag, which was $15 each. And I got 3 of them, so that I have enough to do each week without using any plastic bags. I also get paid for the mileage I drive for work-related trips, 30 cents per quarter mile, and always rounded up to the nearest quarter mile for each trip. This Kroger is exactly 3.05 miles away, meaning it gets rounded up to 3.25 there and 3.25 back, so 6.5 miles for the round trip. I get paid $7.80 when I drive there. Versus the Safeway is 0.65 miles away, so I get paid for a 1.5 mile round trip there, $1.80. I'm also on the clock for these trips, so I'm getting paid my normal wages on top of the mileage. They are also paying me that extra money instead of paying the store, so I gladly take the extra $24 each month in my pocket so they can save 80 cents on plastic bags. The last story is called They Were Sure About It. This happened in 2014. I had just lost my job and was in the process of looking for a new one, but didn't have much money saved to pay bills in the meantime. So I asked my father if I could borrow $1,200 just to get me through to the next month, and I would pay him back as soon as I started working again. He sent the money, I paid my bills and got a new job shortly after. As soon as I had the money to pay him back, I used my bank's online bill pay option to send him a check. I sent him a text and told him it was on the way, and just assumed that was the end of it. Well, a week went by, and he hadn't gotten it. I thought maybe it took a few days for the bank to actually process the bill pay option, because I hadn't used it before. So I asked him to just wait a few more days and see if it came. Several days later, it still hadn't gotten there, so I called the bank and asked them, and they told me I could stop payment on it for free. So I did. Then I just wrote a personal check and mailed it. I just assumed something went wrong with the online bill pay. About 2 months later, I got a check in the mail from a medical facility in the state my father lives for $1,200. I called and asked them about it, and they told me on a recorded line that it was an overpayment on an account my father had with them, and it was a legitimate check and was mine to keep. At that point, I didn't associate it with the bill pay thing I had tried to do a couple of months before. I did call my father to ask about his account with this place, because there was no reason they should have my address to be sending me an overpayment if he had actually made one. He had no idea what was going on, because he hadn't used that facility in a few years. I looked up the place on Google, and finally it dawned on me what had happened. My father's address was on Saddlewood Drive at that point in time, but when I typed it into bill pay, my phone autocorrected it to Sandalwood, and it just happened to be the same numerical address. And because my father's name was listed as the payee, they erroneously attempted to apply it to his account. So that's where my check had gone. I tried to call them again and explain what happened, and the lady on the phone was extremely rude to me. She told me, "I've already talked to you about this. I don't know why you are calling again. We sent you what we owed you. This account is settled, and we will not be talking about it again." Again, this is a recorded line. I asked if she was sure they owed me this money. She practically shouted yes, and I just smiled and hung up the phone. I deposited the check into my bank that day. They didn't try to call me back until about 6 weeks later. I had been wondering how long it would take. The person who called me was a different lady, and she called to tell me that a mistake had been made and that I owed them $1,200. I told her she was misinformed and she should go back and listen to the recorded calls that I had made to their office, and gave her the dates. I had been reassured multiple times that the money was mine and that I was in the clear to cash that check. And then I hung up. I haven't heard a single thing about it since then. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.